Hey, family. Welcome to the African Ancestry Experience. You know, this is where we discuss how we as Black people view ourselves and Africa. Tonight, our guest is Afro-Costa Rican historian Dr. Carmen Hutchinson Miller, and she's going to discuss the impact that Marcus Garvey had on 20th century Afro-Caribbeans and their descendants in Costa Rica. And we get to get her reaction to her African ancestry test results. So you don't want to miss this. Stay tuned because
I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia.
Now, you guys know the African ancestry experience is all about these identity-focused conversations with the African diaspora, and I'm so excited that we're expanding that to Costa Rica tonight. So you know how we do: trace your DNA, find your roots, explore who you are. Shout out to Sharon. She was here 7 minutes early. How are all of you? Thank you for being here. Indai, Lenny, India, Juanita, my padre, Jerome, Roberta, Menelik. I'm so glad to see all of you guys here tonight. Shout out to the fam that's catching this on the replay. And if you're part of the African Ancestry online community, I'm going to see some country flags. Put your country flags in the chat if you're up in here. I see you, Roberta, representing Sierra Leone. Hello, Olushi, Juliet. So last week, a lot of you guys were here for that. Our own scientific director and my co-founder, Dr. Kittles, and Dr. Jabril Johnson, they kicked off the first in our series of science-focused programming that educates us, the family, about the role that genetics plays in the health and well-being of Black people around the world. And so I hope that you enjoyed that. If not, you can definitely go and catch it in the replay. But on Monday, next Monday, coming up, April 25th, we are going to be presenting our National DNA Day conversation, and it's called African DNA Matters. We've convened experts, y'all. Look, we got the heavy hitters: Dr. Kittles, Dr. Davis, Dr. Ewing, Dr. Kimbrough's going to be in the house. They're going to be talking about precision medicine, what it is, and how it impacts Black folks. So please be sure to set your reminders. If you like, share, subscribe, you'll get a notification. Do all that so that you don't miss this. On Monday, April 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Carl's in the house. Dana, I see y'all. Wimpayande, Eddie Hughes. I love y'all so much. Okay, so those of you who are with us tonight, you're at all different stages of your African ancestry journey. Some of you haven't taken a test yet. So I recommend that you go over to the website and order a Match Clan test, or check out the Find Your Tribe quiz that we have. And our blog, of course, is full of good content. You OGs, y'all can get some good information from the blog too. So it's actually a good source of information to share with all those people that have been asking you questions. I know y'all get a lot of questions about your test and how it works and why people should do it, all of that. We got that for you over at AfricanAncestry.com. And so you know how we do. We give away swag to the first person who came on. Lenny Lopez Lescano is the winner. I don't know. Some of you all have never seen this before. This is our Helix identity pin. So Lenny, you've got to make sure you email us your mailing address so we can send you your identity pin. These were previously only available in the identity box. So this is a special occasion for you, Lenny, in honor of DNA Day. Let's see. I think I'm ready to get to it. Are y'all ready to get to it? I want to bring on Dr. Carmen Hutchinson Miller. We just keep bringing the heavy hitters. She's from Costa Rica. She's born in the province of Limon. She's got a PhD in history. She's a lecturer
Hey y'all, it's Wendy. Gina froze. So till she comes back, I'm going to be in the house and I'm going to welcome Dr. Carmen Hutchinson Miller to the broadcast. So you'll have to excuse me because I was not prepared to be on camera today. But Dr. Carmen is an Afro-Costa Rican born in the province of Limon. She has a PhD in history and she's a lecturer at the University Nacional Universidad de Costa Rica. Now, you know, my Spanish, Dr. Carmen, I'm going to bring you up. Welcome, Dr. Carmen.
Thank
It
you.
It is so nice to have you. So, Dr. Carmen, you know, we've been having tech issues all evening, right? So, family, you know how we do. Just lean and rock with us here at African Ancestry. We are going to be bringing some amazing information. So, Dr. Carmen, we understand this was normally class time, right? And so
Yes.
you brought your students on
Yes.
too. So come on, students. Well, first, Dr. Carmen, give them a shout out. And then if you are a student of Dr. Carmen's, we want you to put an apple in the chat. And then family, African Ancestry family, go ahead and welcome our guests. So let's put some apples in the chat, y'all.
Yes. Estudiantes míos, por favor, muéstrense.
What Dr. Carmen said. What Dr. Carmen said. So I see them. They're in the house. They're saying hello, bienvenidos. Ayo, go teacher. Okay, so welcome class. So happy to have you here. Now, Dr. Gina is rebooting. She's rebooting, so we just need to go with it.
No problem.
And she's back.
Here I am.
No
Welcome.
Gracias.
I'm so glad that you're here with us. And I apologize for the internet gremlins. Listen, we need to shout out your students who are joining us. If you're one of Dr. Hutchinson Miller's students, I want to see you put an apple in the chat. How do you say apple in Espanol?
Manzana.
Please put a manzana in the chat. We want to know that you're here. Look at they followed directions. They came to class. All right. Bienvenidos. Bienvenidos. So, Dr. Carmen, we always start our guests off with this one question. So I'd like you to fill in the blank. I am
a proud Afro-Costa Rican.
Very nice. Very nice. And so have you always identified that way? Like if someone says to you, where are you from? I don't even know if they do that there, but when you travel and go to other places, what do you say?
No, when I travel, I say that I am a Limonense, because in my context, Limonense is like a metaphor for Black people. So I just say I am a Limonense from Costa Rica, Port Limon, Costa Rica.
I love it. And have you always been African focused?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I think I was fortunate to grow up in a period where I had these leaders, these community leaders, church leaders who, let us feel very proud about our Blackness. In that time, we used to say negritude. Mm-hmm. Negritude. So, we grew up, we were raised feeling very proud of being, at least my generation. I was born in the 60s.
Okay.
So we got that feedback from the churches and from the English schools that we used to attend.
Now, we had the pleasure of talking with one of our other family members, Edna Liliana, she's in Colombia. Mm. And in Colombia, there's a movement to embrace la negritude, right? It's not a common position that people are proud of their Blackness. Would you say that that's similar or not to Costa Rica, where you're from, where you live?
I think it goes in waves. It depends on what is happening in the world at the time. So probably in the 60s, it was the civil rights, because we are very influenced by what is happening in the US. So I guess during the 60s, it was the civil rights movement and stuff like that. So we will get a lot of that information in among the Black community at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it go in waves. So I born in the 60s, so I get a lot of that. But as I grow and I get more information, I guess the different things that continues, like for example, we are in the decade now, the decade of people of African descent. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like is another like push,
Yeah.
for our identity, for all sort of things. But beside that, I find that for Costa Rica, because precisely of Marcus Garvey, and we having still in Costa Rica the organization, I think that kind of help in terms of our identity, different probably from the other countries, South American countries.
Now, if I were to, I'm going off script here, but I
No
just
problem.
thought of
No
something else.
problem.
If I were to come, I've traveled to Costa Rica only one time, and I can't
Okay.
even remember where I was. But if we want to travel to Costa Rica and we want to be in the community, we want to be around people who look like us and share our sensibilities, where would we go?
Port Limon, of course. Port Limon, Costa Rica, because historically, in the late 19th century, because the country was building a railroad, the immigrants from the Caribbean came, and the port was to be based in Port Limon. So then they settled. The most of them settled in Port Limon. So it became unofficially the Black Province. We don't call it the Black Province, but it became the Black Province. So
Okay.
a lot of especially the Jamaican culture is still, you still can identify the Jamaican culture in Port Limon. Of course, we are all over the country now and always was, but the majority was still can be find in the province of Limon. So you would have to come to Limon to get that flavor, to
Okay.
get that little culture.
Now I know. Now you just said something. You just said Jamaica. And the way
Yes.
you said Jamaica did not sound like a Costa Rican in Jamaica.
No, because what happened is that for many, many decades, uh, the Jamaicans, the grandparents, like from my mother's generation, uh, they preserved the language, the Jamaican Creole. They preserved it because that was a mark of identity. Remember, these were immigrants who went to work on the construction of the railroad. So their intention were not to be part of the society. So they did not want to lose the language. So we learn English at home, right? And then we used to go to, depending on what time we went to Spanish school. If we went in the morning, we went to English school in the afternoon, and vice versa. So then we preserve that language. So actually, there is a like a resurgence of that. I know it is called the Criollo Limonense. Now we have embraced like a version of that Jamaican language. So now it is called Criollo Limonense, and people is actually proud. The young people are actually proud to be able to keep it. So I feel very happy for that because it's over 100 years that our ancestor came, and we still have the little accent as you can pick it up the way I speak.
I bet that food is good too. A
Yeah.
Jamaican food and Costa Rican food. Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
but we're not here to talk about food. We're here to talk about identity and Costa Rica. And I feel I'm really happy to hear. It sounds like there is a strong sense of identity in Limon for sure,
Yes.
and
Yes.
among the young people, so that that's going to just keep building and building. Now, how did getting your African ancestry results impact your identity? Because you got some Jamaican, you got Costa Rican, you got
Yes.
all these roots. So tell us
Yes.
about that.
Well, because well, I guess it's the experience of everyone, because did not have, or we do not have that direct connection with Africa. The closest to Africa that we have is Jamaica. let me just go back and say that a lot of the immigrants that came, they also came from all the islands, the different islands, and the Antilles. But the ones that came, the larger contingent were the Jamaicans, right? So that's the reason why you hear the accent. So the closest that we had to Africa was the Jamaicans, our Caribbean ancestry. Another thing that is important to tell you also is that Costa Rica had what we call a first wave of people of African descent, but that was during the slavery time. So but that gene pool lost, that heritage lost in the gene pool after independence, because we got our independence in 1821. So in late 19th century now is when the second wave of people of African descent enter Costa Rica, and we are part of that generation. So we don't have really a lot of knowledge of that first group of Africans who came to Costa Rica during the colonial period. So Jamaica, for us, the majority of us, is that would be our Mecca, right? Like, for example, I had the opportunity to live not in Jamaica, but in Barbados for 20 years. And I felt like I was on cloud nine because I was among, people of African descent. And only when I opened my mouth to speak, they will know that I was not from Barbados, but they did not know that I was a Costa Rican because they thought I was a Jamaican or from any other island.
Yeah, you can't escape that Jamaica. I'm sorry, Dr. Carmen. You cannot escape the Jamaica. It's there.
Yes. So through that, no, we try to we grew up listening and hearing and being encouraged from the elders that we are Costa Ricans, but we still maintain our Caribbean identity, right? So many years after, I met a lady by the name of Devon, which I'm not sure she get to connect, but she's a U.S. citizen and an indirect ambassador of African ancestry. So,
Nice. Nice.
so
Shout out to Devin. Thank you, Devin.
Yes. So Devon started to tell me about this African ancestry because I'm always, as you mentioned, I'm always was Afrocentric, different things that I was involved in. So she told me about this African ancestry and it sounded interesting to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I would like to, to get that test. But of course, at the time, that was 2016. And I was just returning from living out of the country for 2 decades, trying to settle back in my country. So that went at the back burner. So it was just until last year, the end of last year, I visited my sister. I have a sister living in the US. And I said, I order my kit before I leave Costa Rica. And it reached, get to her address in the US. I did it there and I could not wait. Well, I guess you saw, I hope you saw the video. I made a video. I made 2 videos, one in English and one in Spanish. I was so excited. I'm still excited.
I know. I mean, I am too. So tell us what you found.
Well, I am at 3 ethnic groups, 100%. So I am from the Mende, the Temne, the Mende, from Guinea-Bissau, the Fulani, and the Kru people from Liberia.
Yeah, so you got some cousins. We need to see where's Guinea. I saw Guinea-Bissau in here. I've seen Sierra Leone in here. Let's put up some flags for Dr. Carmen to welcome her to the African Ancestry family. Even though it was last year, she's been family for a minute. I want to see those flags in the chat. Thank you so much, Sean. Shout out to Sean. Shout out to who else? Raimundo. Welcome. So we know how you reacted. How did your family? How did they react?
oh, my son, I have a son. And he was like, oh, Ma, this is so great. We have to travel. I say, yes, we have to travel. I don't know when, but we have to go to, we have 3 different places to go. And of course, the rest of the family, my immediate family, my parents and my siblings, everybody was like happy because it's like we actually know exactly where we're coming from. I mean, Dr. Page, you know what it is. You know what it is. So I can't even express. I mean, I'm reliving. I'm reliving getting the letter from you.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, this is what you all are doing. Oh my God, I continue doing it because I mean I saw the video where you all celebrated the 19 years. I think I was on the chat. And look, 19 years, and we just get it in Costa Rica. Continue doing this, please, because I mean it is so empowering for us, as people of African descent, part of the
Mm.
diaspora. So keep
Thank
doing
you.
that work.
Thank you so much. And shout out to Win Payande. She's like, you got to come into the AAOC. So I don't know if you've joined the African Ancestry online community yet, but over on
Mm,
Facebook, you can
okay.
connect with other people who've traced their roots to the same places. We got all sorts of resources in there. So
Yes,
it's a real
definitely.
family. So let's talk about your life's work because you got some serious knowledge to drop for
Yeah.
us. You've already kind of told us how the Jamaicans came to Costa Rica with the railroads.
Mhm.
What did they do to get integrated into life in Costa Rica? Were there some unique things that they did?
Well, let me tell you, I am an academic, so then I am using that knowledge and that expertise to try to make them visible, like the individuals, and not just talking about the migrants or the migration, but to speak about these individuals. And what I learned when I started researching about my people is that these people they did not behave like victims. They came here, a lot of them, like every immigrant, you go to the country, the host country, because you want a better life, better opportunities, but things happen and you end up living in the place, and children born.
Right.
Right. So but what I noticed in the documentation that I researched is that these people had a sense of humanity and dignity, and although they were in the country, they did not speak the language because it's a Spanish, and they were a different color because the country's racist, even though it is a subtle racism, not as overt like in the US. But that did not um, detain them in the sense, or make them shy in terms of trying to achieve their personal goals. So,
Mhm.
and especially when they start to reproduce, I think that transmitted through the DNA of their descendants, because when they started to be citizens, even though they were not recognized until the 1950s, these individuals, they behave with a sense of entitlement. It's like I born here, and that they transmitted to my generation,
Mhm.
because despite the fact that we suffered the subtle racism, we don't behave. You have some people that maybe feel affected, with the manifestation, maybe the stereotypes, but we don't feel that we don't belong.
Right.
We
That's
don't behave that way, and I think that sometimes is a problem to some of our brothers and sisters who are not Afros, because they don't know how to deal with the confident Afro-Costa Rican.
the confident Afro Costa Rican. I love that. I love that identity.
Yeah.
That's a great identity. So how did Dr. Garvey, Marcus Garvey,
Oh, yes,
come
yes.
into
Okay,
the picture?
okay, very important. So Marcus Garvey visited Costa Rica in 2 occasions. He was part, like, in the early part of the 20th century. He was one of the immigrants. He He visited Costa Rica in his 20s, like, looking for work like everybody else. But already he had his, his vision, he was a sort of an activist in his country. So when he came to Costa Rica and he realized the conditions in, what the Caribbean people were going through, I think it did something to him, because he wrote in a newspaper called The Nation, because that is the other thing. The archives, the library in Costa Rica have a few newspapers that were written in English by, you had a newspaper, a guy that used to run a newspaper, and it was in English, right? So before him, it was Marcus Garvey. So we only found one copy where, they're talking. So he had to leave Costa Rica because of his activism, and he traveled to other Central American and South American countries. He ended up in England. Then in 1914, he went back to his country, where he formed the UNIA. And then he had his branches in Costa Rica. There were 23 branches of the UNIA.
Wow.
23 branches. So in 1920s, more or less 20 years later, he returned to Costa Rica, but as the UNIA leader. And you actually have a picture of the crowd, the multitude of people who went to listen to him. And you see a lot of the people die out. No, actually, I think in 2014, his youngest son came to one of the celebrations, because we celebrate because of Marcus Garvey and the meeting they had in 1920 at the Madison Square Garden. In Costa Rica today, we still celebrate the 31st of August in honor of all what he did. So his influence is very, very strong even today, to the extent that now we have actually a whole month to celebrate El Día de la Cultura Afro, and a long name. But all of that was the work of the ancestors from that time, and it passed over to the following generation, and the people who start to be part of the society, like the ones who get into politics, they push laws and stuff like that. So until now, first it was just one day, and it's only the Afro-Limonenses used to celebrate it. Now it's the whole country. Now
So which month is it?
August.
So it's the month of August. So that's how it started here. It was a week, and then it turned into a month. So,
Yes,
wow.
the same story. So now in all the schools, they must celebrate it. I mean, they must. It is a celebration, and in Port Limon, it is a grand parade. We have a grand parade on the 31st. COVID came and put a little brakes on us these last 2 years, but it is, for the last 20 years, it's been celebrated, and is a way for people to make money. Because people come a lot. People even come from the US, everywhere, because you have the African diaspora all over.
Yeah.
So they come and they bring their friends, so people learn about us. And it is, all of that is strengthening that Black identity of the Afro Costa Rican, and I think it is going from strength to strength.
So that's really interesting to me, because it seems as though there are African Americans who are moving to Costa Rica to escape the US. I was just talking with my family about where can people go when when it just gets to be too much here. What is the relationship between confident Afro
Costa Rican
and confident African Americans? What has that relationship been like historically?
Well, I have, because I am also a sister law consultant. So then I get to meet a lot of sisters, because this is we just see someone with locks, sister locks, and then there is that connection.
Yeah.
So because of that, I get to meet a lot of sisters who come to relocate in Costa Rica. So some of them, well, they come, they meet people because I think they have friends here. Then they decide where to live in Costa Rica, and they live in different places. But I find through Devon, because Devon is a lady, she's a mover and a shaker. So I think she has a blog or something like that. And then she encouraged the people to go to Limon. You have an area in Limon where they go that is called Puerto Viejo and thing, and a lot of them they go down there. They go there.
Okay. Woo! I'm learning more than I ever could have thought about Afro Costa Ricans and the history. What are some of the pressing issues there now in the Afro Costa Rican community? Are they similar to what we're facing here in the US?
Well, in terms of well, let me see. Let me try to use the right word. In terms of marginality, 'cause the port of Limon, it is the port, and if you think on a port, you think that you're going to see the development that a port should have, and when you go, you don't see it. So we know that the government is not really injecting enough money there. And of course, as an academic, I know the reason why. I know it is because they see it as the place of the where the Black people are, and you want to keep the stereotype that they are not industrial people, but we are. So we face those because our province, along with the coastal province, are the poorest ones in the country. So we are facing with that. Then after COVID, things even gets a little worse. We face subtle racism. It is not really overt, but we face that, and I guess after you grow up in it, you learn to identify it, and as you get a little smarter, you learn how to navigate it. Right, navigate it, but it is still present. So that is one of the things that I try to highlight and to write about, so that my Costa Rican sisters, brothers and sisters who are not Afros can be aware of the way how they are, committing violence, micro racism against us. So.
I love though that so it seems like you share some of the same, and I knew this was going to be the answer because we are the diaspora. We have same set of experiences in terms of how we got to these lands and how we're portrayed in these lands and how we're treated in these lands. And so it's very similar where in most places that you go. But what I love is that what you taught us at the beginning of this conversation is that there's this sense of pride. Despite all of that, there's a sense of pride. There's a strong sense of identity steeped through Jamaica that allows the people to live and enjoy life. And so I appreciate that you are sharing this with us, Dr. Carmen. Oh my goodness, there's so much to talk about. So I feel like we just went to class, but I don't understand. How do you have time to teach your students? Shout out to your students and their manzanas in the chat, and be a Sister Locks consultant. And I suspect you got a little activism going on in there. Where do you find the time to do
my darling? It is called being a Black woman. You have to do what you have to do to survive.
I hear you. But we have had several other guests on previous shows who have encouraged us to take time out. So I hope you are finding some time for self-care. I hope you are finding your places and spaces where you can be still and, regenerate, because we need you. And what you're studying and what you're teaching is very heavy and very important.
I know.
So but I hope that you stay
yes,
posted up.
I do that. I do that, and I have a sister who believes in always. She's the party one. She's the one who organized, bring the family together. So even if I want to stick, because I love what I do and I love the research, so I will like really be, forget the world. But then you have to go to the family events and stuff like that. So that breaks it up for me. So no, yes, I take care of myself because
Okay,
I
very
think
good.
I still have a lot to give. So I know health is very important. So I take care of myself. So thank
Nice.
you.
That's right. We're getting all these that's right in the chat. So you got some people, you got family encouraging you from all across the globe. So before we move into our last segment with you, I'd love to know what legacy would you like to leave, Dr. Carmen?
Oh my God, that is a good question. For me, is loving yourself.
Mm,
Like be how should I put this now? Be proud of who you are. I grew up in a time where they taught me to love Carmen, the black girl.
mm,
So I did not have a problem with that. So then that bring out the person who I am today, because I was not afraid to follow the dreams that I wanted.
mm.
Right, I was not afraid to go into spaces because I'm a woman and I'm a black woman, because they always let me feel that I was important. I remember my first grade teacher. I still remember her name. And she always used to tell me, "You are so bright. You are so bright." So, to tell a little girl in school, in primary school, that you are so bright, it is very powerful. So,
Yeah,
until this day, I believe that I am so
I
bright.
know that's right. I know that's right.
So I would like people to love themselves for who they are. You understand? It doesn't matter your ethnic group, where you're coming from, just love you with your good, your bad, and your indifferent, because just like the DNA test, we are unique.
Mm.
We are unique, and we come with a purpose in this world. So if we accept that uniqueness, then we can really be blessings to others.
You heard it here from Dr. Carmen Hutchinson Miller, a confident, proud Afro Costa Rican by
Yes.
way of Jamaica, from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea Bissau roots.
Yes.
So, Dr. Carmen, every week we play a game called Fact or Whack. How
Yeah.
would you translate that in Spanish?
Fact would be realidad o mentira. Realidad o mentira.
Realidad o mentira. And
Mhm.
so I would love for you to play with us.
Yes.
Okay, great. So Wendy's going to put up the statement. And then in the chat, we want everybody to say whether you think that statement is fact, realidad, or whack, mentira. Okay. So will you read the statement for us?
Yes. Marcus Garvey traveled to Costa Rica twice, once as an immigrant and later as the leader of the UNIA.
Is that fact or whack? We'll see if they were paying attention, Dr. Carmen. Did Marcus Garvey travel to Costa Rica twice? Oh, we got some facts. We got true. We got realidad. Realidad.
Realidad.
Latasha for the Spanish. Okay. So tell us, is that realidad
Yes.
or mentira?
Yes. Es realidad. It's a fact. It's a
That's
fact.
a fact. Okay, perfect. That's right. You all were paying attention. That's right, because she's bright. I'm telling y'all, we don't bring any suckers to the African ancestry experience. We only bring the best and the brightest and the most beautiful, the strongest, smartest. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Uh, okay, the descendants of Africans who were brought to Costa Rica during the colonial era do not identify with being of African heritage, nor are they identified as such.
Hmm. So, is this fact or whack? Do the descendants of Africans who were brought to Costa Rica identify with African heritage or not? When Payande says it's a realidad, oh, she's saying realidad or mentira.
She's asking.
So is it a fact that they do not identify with being of African heritage? Gail says whack. We got some facts. We got a lot of facts in here. Let's read it one more time. Can you read it one more time?
Okay. The descendants of Africans who were brought to Costa Rica during the colonial era, and the dates are there, do not identify with being of African heritage, nor are they identify as such.
Okay, so is that fact or mentira, Dr. Carmen?
That's a fact.
That's a fact. So that's true.
Yes, the one from the colonial, they don't. I mean, as I mentioned quickly, they lost in the gene pool, so you will see it in their hair, in their lips, or in their hips, but they don't identify as such.
You did say that. Wow. And so that would be like I'm trying to think. There's another culture where it's like that. So what do they consider themselves? Costa Rican?
Yes, they would tell you soy Costa Rica, or the region where they are. Like, for example, you have the Guanacastecos. The Guanacastecos during the colonial period, you had Africans there, or in Cartago, which was the first capital during the colonial period. So all the structure, the infrastructure was there in Cartago, and they mix with the indigenous people, they mix with the Africans, but they will not accept. I mean, now you have, and especially because of this awakening that is going on now, and trying to the same, everybody looking for the roots. You have some that will try to say that they will recognize the African, but that is that
it's
is not
in vogue now.
Yes.
It's cool to be African. Okay,
exactly, but they don't. They will not. I have been to spaces where they ask me to give speeches, and I will bring that up, and the people will tell me, no, yo soy Guanacasteco, no, yo soy de Cartago. So they will prefer to embrace the province, the region, than the ethnicity.
Well, that's why people like you are so important, to give us the history. So maybe over time people will listen to the facts. Okay, I think we have one more fact or whack. Were you?
Okay, yes. Let me read it. Only Jamaicans were part of the second wave of Afro descendants to Costa Rica.
Is that fact or whack? Only Jamaicans were part of the second wave of Afro descendants to Costa Rica. And by that second wave, I think, are we talking about to build the railroads, Wendy?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we got a lot of whacks. What's the answer, Dr. Carmen?
It's what? I want to shout out. I saw Natasha. Natasha is she's born in the US, and she's of Costa Rican heritage, and she's one of my sisters in solidarity. So thanks, Natasha, to be here.
Shout out to Natasha, one of Dr. Carmen's sisters in solidarity. Does she have sister locks too?
No, but she has locks. She has the conventional locks.
Okay. This has been such a joy. I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge, and more than that, your enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm is infectious. I feel like I want to go run around the block now or something at the end of the day. But I love that. I can imagine that your students enjoy your learning from you because of the energy that you bring to history. That's what makes history fun, is when it's relevant and when it's presented in a what's the word I'm looking for, in a relatable way. Thank you so much for being here with us. Everybody, I want to let you know, don't forget to read our latest essay over on our AfricanAncestry.com/blog. 5 things every Black person should verify before taking any DNA test. So we want to make sure that people get their questions answered. You can also take the Find Your Tribe quiz to see which ethnic group you have the most in common with if you haven't yet taken your African ancestry test. If you have, then you are part of the fam. Membership has its privileges, so be sure to meet us over in the African Ancestry online community on Facebook. We're 8,000 deep over there. That's a lot of people talking about the importance of knowing who you are. You can get a lot of good food over there. We have past episodes of the African Ancestry Experience on YouTube. So I want to welcome all of your students, all of you who are in Costa Rica who have joined us tonight. Please don't be strangers. You are welcome anytime. Practice your English, practice listening to my Southern twang English. But we hope that you won't be a stranger. And if you're watching us on the replay, put an apple emoji in the comments to show Dr. Carmen some love, because she broke it all the way down, giving us an amazing education. Thank you again, Dr. Carmen, for joining us. I really can't say enough about how proud I am that you're part of the African Ancestry family and that you shared your time with us this evening.
Yes.
I hope you won't be a stranger either. And listen, if we come to Costa Rica, get ready. I feel like we need to come in August and celebrate Black History Month, for lack of a better, because
yes.
I don't know the whole long phrase in Spanish. Hang out at the parade. I think you would show us a good time.
Yes, I will. Yes, I would.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You heard it here. I just invited us all to celebrate Black History Month in August with Dr. Carmen. But don't forget to join us on Monday for our National DNA Day panel called African DNA Matters, with Black heavy hitters in precision medicine. And of course, I have to shout out Wendy, our producer, for holding it down and making sure that this was one of our best shows ever. Dr. Carmen, like I tell everybody at the end of every show, thank you so much for being here. And as you go out into the world, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. Have a very good night, everybody.
Thank you.
I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island.